So this is a test with the triple Yamaha 450 horsepower. Now you don't have to have these motors, but in this video, we're going to take the boat out into the ocean. We're going to run her through a cruise speed, wide open throttle, and take her on a few different angles to the sea, and also test the SeaKeeper gyro and pull up alongside a dock. Keep watching. .22 litres, that's 8 litres per nautical mile. I love it, solidly through those waves. I freaking love these holes. Okay, so this test is with the triple 450s. I've got fuel flow, litres per hour on this dash, and then I've got litres per nautical mile, so you might be able to see that on that camera just there. Feel free to keep an eye on that. We've got 60% of fuel in the tank. This is my RPM for all three motors just there. Again, that camera may be useful if you're paying attention to it. We're going to be heading straight out into the ocean. We're just going to roll through a few waves. There's a little bit of swell out there today, so it's a wonderful day for a Grady. These things really are the battle wagon, the reliable battle wagon that I suspect many of you are looking for, but they are so much more than that as well. So I've got my Bennett trim tabs just here. I've got my engine trim just there, so I'll be playing with that. Bow thruster, ankle, that sort of stuff we'll do later in the video because that's not super relevant to what we're focusing on at the moment. I'm just gonna accelerate with a little bit of bow down, and then I'll play with the trim as we see fit. Let's do it. So as you can see, a little bit of bow raise on acceleration. That's why I wanted to play with the trim. And now we'll just feel our way through the boat. This is my first drive. 3,900 revs, 174 litres per hour, giving me a 5.5 litres per nautical mile. Stop panning, and I'll just get my speed. Okay, 32 knots. All right. Now I'm actually going to slow that rev down because we are heading into a wave zone. I've got swell coming in an easterly direction. The wind is north to, it's kind of north actually. Does it northwest, if anything. And on and off rain, 28 knots now. I'll do a little bit more bow down on the tabs. And entering some of the swell zone now, 27 knots, 3,400 to 3,500 revs and variable. And here comes some of the swells. I'm going to try and take them diagonally, and I will vary my speed. We're not going for speed through this, we're just going for comfort. We'll do speed a little bit later in the video. So this hull is the same. It's the same hull as the previous model. Obviously, all the differences are up here on deck. So if you actually have seen an offshore test, we are on the same platform, and I kind of like it when a manufacturer has the tried and tested hull or method, and they stick with what they know and they improve it. Am I saying that in the right way? I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. It's just a real benefit to you guys when you're on a platform that's been put through many years of testing, both customer and industry testing, and you get the benefit of that. Now we're into some real swells, some of them varying a few meters. You'll see my hands going from throttle base to fingertips on the throttles now, because I just want to control my throttle control, dropping off, sliding over some of these waves. I'll be turning into the swells pretty soon. I'm going to actually slow down because some of these swells are quite steep, but it's a beautiful day to be testing a Grady. Okay, so I'm going to come off the power a little bit there and into these waves. Here's a couple of nice steep ones. We'll drive into them. doing that at 14 knots. And on the next one, I'm actually going to now turn, soft landing. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to increase my speed. I'm just going to, beautiful. Just look at how the water is parted from the hull. Hopefully this camera now is giving you a feel for some of these swells. I'm doing that at 24 knots. So now I'm going to be going down the swells pretty soon. I'm going to raise my tabs. I'm just going to hold that line for a little bit. Doing that at 25 to 26 knots. It's really so much faster than what you're actually traveling a lot faster than what you realize. You know, these are such a wonderful piece of kit in the ocean that you can sustain much higher average speeds than many boats. And you've probably seen me drive a lot of adventure boats over the years on this channel. Driving something like this Grady is a completely different experience. It is, the weight is so much more noticeable that when you come up and over the back of some of these waves, you actually don't notice it so much. There's a lot less movement because of the displacement of the boat. Just going to roll up the back of this one. Let's accelerate. Oh, yeah. Let's go down the back of it now. Visibility is good. Okay. Nice. Oh, I love having weather like this to test a boat. So the sensation, I'm doing my best to describe this. It's completely different to an adventure boat. You don't feel the need to adjust your angle of attack on such a regular basis relative to the waves. The reason being, these things really are such solidly built and well-designed hulls with the V carried forward and the flare at the front. I'm very confident to take a wave at speed, and when I say at speed, conditions like that, I mean, you know, mid-20s to high 20s, depending on my angle to the swells, and I know the hull's just going to look after me. But let's just speed up. Let's just give it some. Okay. 5,300 revs, 43 knots. Clear, 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 clear ahead, full speed. Trim up. Flattest water I'm going to find today, 5,500. Can we get to 5,700? Yes, we can. Speed at 48 knots. Consumption 422 litres. That's 8 litres per nautical mile. I love it. How can you not enjoy burning petrol? It brings me so much pleasure, and I'm sure it does you too. That was great. Let's head across to the other side, and we'll dial back on the speed, and we'll do a little bit more sensible cruising numbers. Now we're going to go into the wind and into the wind chop, which has been built up by that. I'm going to lower my trim tabs by about a quarter, drop those engines, settle the bow down. I can hear the wind on the rocket launchers because that's a mixture of the apparent wind essentially. It's the boat going into about 15 knots of northerly wind. So we've probably got about 45 knots of apparent wind across the decks. All right, so 4,100 revs is giving me 5.8 litres per nautical mile. I'm actually going to slow that down. That was well over 30 knots there. Let's just see what 3,300 revs gives us. All right, we're on the plane, 3,300 revs. I'm seeing a little bit of bow race, but even at my 5'7" stature, I can still see over the bow, and I can always play with those tabs a bit, and there we go. That's better, more comfortable for sure. So at 3,200, I'm getting a speed return of 23.8 knots. I want to go 3,300. Okay, there's 3,300. I've got 4.9 to 5 litres per nautical mile. That's 120 litres per hour flow, and I'm getting a speed return of 25 knots. I'm going into the wind and I'm in exposed water now. Now I'm going to increase that speed a little bit, checking for traffic. Got one ferry and I got some swells on my starboard beam. I'll go across them and then down them in a second. So I'm going to increase from 3,300 up to 3,500, raising my tabs just a tad. Okay, that's giving me a speed return in choppy water of 29 knots, very comfortable. I'm going down some swells at the moment. I'm going to go behind this ferry. I'll just show my intentions so he knows. There we go. So that's 29 knots, variable, 156 litres per hour total, and 5.4 litres per nautical mile. Clear, clear, going down swell behind the ferry. Okay, that's 3,700 revs now and increasing, 3.9 and 4,000. Oh, just solidly through those waves. I freaking love these holes. They're so good. Okay, 4,000, I'm trying to, doing my best to maintain 4,000 revs through the waves, 180 to 185 litres per hour total, 5.9 to 5.8 litres per nautical mile, a speed return of 32 knots and a little bit over through some of the waves. And yeah, we're definitely not in flat water, as you can see. And now I'm going to increase that. And I do enjoy completing this test not in flat water, because I'm pretty sure you won't be in flat water. So let's just go 4.2. Actually, that's 4.3. There's 4.2. 210 litres per hour, varying through the swells, and 6.2 litres per nautical mile. 6.2 litres. Speed return is 34 knots. My sensation here at the helm, it's rock steady. It's a really good place to be in the boat. I've got plenty of things to hold on to if I need, but I actually just feel fine on this steering wheel and the throttle base, because the momentum of the boat is predictable, it's smooth, there's no jarring as you go through these waves. Again, I'm putting that down to the displacement, and that angle of V forward in the bow just gives me such soft landings. Really, really nice. Okay, I'm just going to increase that speed a little bit. I might do, it's also the outriggers. It's the string there on the outriggers which is causing some of that wind noise. Now retract my trim tabs. I'm in flatter water, 4,600 revs, 262 litres total, 7 litres per nautical mile. 7 litres per nautical mile. Let's just rip around the corner here, and then I'm actually going to dial it back. Look at the heel angle, I can see my viz is good. My viz, I'm in flat water here, coming through at speed. This is like day boat mode. No problems, very comfortable. Let's just cruise it around here, and we will slow the speed down now. Look at that, someone's swimming, it's winter. She's in a bikini. She's brave. Okay, let's come off the plane. Really do like this hull. Okay, so if you wanted to do a super smooth deceleration, you might lower the tabs and come off the plane, so the boat will have a bit more of a level attitude, but you don't really have to do that, it just looks better. Okay, dissipated my waves. Now I just want to simulate maybe some trolling speeds, even though I'm not a fisherman. I know many of you are. So let's just do 1,300 RPM, giving us a speed return of 6.5 knots in flat water, and that's 4 litres per nautical mile and 26 litres total. And then let's just bump that up a little bit. Don't know if you're going to go much faster than that if you've got the gear out. So let's just do 1,500 is giving us 8 knots 4.4 litres per nautical mile, and 33.9 to 33.6 litres per hour total, and about 8 knots. Awesome. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just head back out into some of those waves and activate the SeaKeeper and just see how much of a benefit we gain from that. Then we're going to go find somewhere to drop the pick, and then we'll slide it into a berth if we can find an empty one without pissing off the owner. Okay guys, I've come out to a wavy part of the harbour. We've just got some swell rolling through here, a little bit of bounce back on the rocks there. I've activated stay point, and we've spooled up, obviously turned the generator on, spooled up the SeaKeeper, and it's ready to activate. So just watch the boat roll with these swells on the beam. Actually, let's turn the stay point off, just so you can let the boat drift. Okay, just watch that. You really do notice the overall beam and lower center of gravity on this thing just compared to a non-stabilized situation, and compared to many other boats. This is a big piece of kit, so I don't actually find this offensive at all. But now let's just activate it. Okay. Look at that. You know, so if you got someone who's prone to seasickness, this is just going to change your day. Obviously, many of you guys are going to be doing this in the ocean, but I suggest if you're looking at this boat as a luxury day boat, as a replacement for a big boat that you're going to run around and socialise on, and you have a tendency to go and park in areas that are affected by boat wash, or like we have here, you have ferries going past and they put off aggressive waves, this is just going to make your day more enjoyable. That's it. Rare do I suggest now that people don't get a SeaKeeper. If you've got a big, relatively expensive boat like this, I think it's absolutely worth the money, because it just takes one person on board to get seasick and it ruins your whole day. So hopefully that, there you go, let's turn it off, is a clear demonstration. Now we can feel keeping that swell on the port beam there. There you go. Now she's starting to get a bit of a roll on. See the difference? Isn't that good? Okay, so I've come somewhere a little bit protected. We're just going to go in shallow and just test the anchor. So it goes from stainless steel anchor to chain and then rode on this windlass. So you'll see the chain feeding out and then changing over to rode. I've got my windlass down and windlass up here. Just got to make sure you activate power downstairs, the accessories power, and obviously take the safety off at the bow, which we have done. Coming in here shallow. No one's putting off any waves around me. Nice. So I'm just going to stop the boat about here. Okay, and windlass down. I can hear the chain going. I've engaged reverse now, and now I'm on the rope because you can hear that changing sound. I'm just going to go back a little bit because I'm in shallow water and feed out a little bit more, and we'll just see if that grabs. Here we go. I feel that grabbing now. Lovely. Lovely. Nothing to it. Okay, so we have come to a fuel dock to do a couple little demonstrations for you guys. I first just want to give you a little look at the stay point. So this is the Yamaha joystick, and you just click stay point and it holds position for the vessel. We do have a blow-on situation, so we've got wind now blowing from a northeasterly direction, and there is a bit of wind, so there's 10 knots plus at times, and it's blowing us onto the dock. We've got fenders on the dock, so hence why we haven't hung any fenders from the vessel. But you can see, hopefully, with that camera and the drone in a sec, but we're not completely staying in the one position. The boat is moving around within about its own boat length, and so to factor that in when you're doing an approach, or if you are just operating the vessel, I think the main point, it's really just don't let anyone get in the water. See how much we're moving now? See that? So it's doing its calculations, it's keeping you generally in the same position, but not exactly the same position. I just want you to remember that when you're operating it so you don't get yourself into some mischief. So let's deactivate stay point. Let's go back to throttles and we'll actually do an approach with engines and bow thruster, and then we might exit with joystick, and we'll just come up along the port side because I put my camera on the starboard side. Now, next thing that you're going to notice with a vessel like this, once again, the weight affects the momentum. She's just a lot heavier than some of those day boats that you see me maneuver. So once she gets moving, she is moving, but also the wind is not going to overtake a vessel like this at the same rate of speed that a smaller, lighter boat will move around. So you can really have a great level of control. And I'm just coming into the end of the dock here, and now I'm going to just straighten the boat up. Okay, I'll introduce the bow thruster in a second. Enough torque in 3, 2, 1. That should touch. There we go. Oh, no. There we go. Now we're on the fenders. I never leave the helm when I'm touching on fenders because you might get a bounce, although this one's got quite a bit of momentum, or got a bit of weight, I should say. She didn't want to bounce that time around, but in terms of accessing the side, you can step off. We have the opening gate, and reaching the midships cleats is not a drama on this boat, and obviously a layout like this makes life super simple if you're operating it by yourself. But now let's go joystick and let's just check around, all clear, and let's walk this boat away from the dock and let's just see how she responds. Just slow input there. That feels good, nice and controlled. You see I've got a little bit of forward movement with the wind, so I'll just go slight aft joystick to try and maintain my position, and beautiful. You've got 2 engines facing one direction, a 3rd engine facing the other. The boat's parallel, and I'm just doing small movements on the joystick. Once I feel like I'm safe and clear, remembering I've got blow-on conditions here, I'm actually just going to spin the boat on a dime out to starboard, and then we'll drive away. So now I'm putting the joystick back on center. Just give a little bit of aft, stop some of that movement. And now I'm just going to turn the joystick. Someone's alarm's going off, and feel that. Good control. One of the great things about a joystick is you can move around, swap your hands. It's not going to throw your thinking too much like you have to apply to joystick operation, not joystick, to throttle operation is what I was trying to say. Look at that, heaps of power. And quite quiet as well. Now I'll just engage forward. Not too much of an aggressive click into gear, so that feels nice and smooth. And away you go. I've still got the bow thruster on should I need it, felt plenty torquey, and now I can transition. Okay, and there you go. When you put your hand on the throttle and engage gear, it deactivates the joystick, and your throttle is now in control. Nice.